Imagine Wall Street without coffee, factories without coffee breaks, writers, programmers, truck drivers, and night shift nurses without caffeine. Now ask a strange question. Do we build the modern world, or did coffee help keep us awake long enough to build it? For many people, civilization begins after the first cup. Before it, the room is too bright. The conversation is premature. The brain seems to be loading. Then comes the smell, the heat, the first bitter sip, and a small chemical door opens. We call coffee a drink, a habit, a personality trait. But caffeine is also a psychoactive stimulant, a substance that changes how the brain feels and functions. It is legal, widely accepted, and woven so deeply into ordinary life that we barely notice the bargain. Coffee does not create energy. It changes how strongly we feel, one of the signals that tells us we are tired. And that simple trick arrived at exactly the right moment in human history. For most of our existence, human activity followed light, weather, seasons, hunger, and danger. Work could be brutal. Sleep was not always peaceful. But the planet did not send calendar invitations at 6 in the morning. Then societies became more connected. Trade expanded. Cities grew. Mechanical clocks became more important. Work was increasingly measured not only by the task, but by the hour. The human body had evolved under sunrise and darkness. The emerging world wanted punctuality. It needed people who could wake before they felt ready, focus longer, and sometimes continue after the sun disappeared. Coffee did not cause that transformation, but it fit the new machinery of time almost perfectly. Coffee's early history is wrapped in legend. The famous story of excited goats in Ethiopia is memorable, but difficult to verify. The clearer historical trail leads to Yemen, where coffee was cultivated and consumed by at least the 15th century. It was useful during long nights of religious devotion. Here was a drink that could help the mind resist sleep. From the Arabian Peninsula, coffee moved through the Ottoman world. Coffee houses became places for conversation, news, games, business, and argument. That mattered. Alcohol could blur a discussion. Coffee sharpened it. A cup did more than wake one person. In a crowded room, it could keep an entire conversation alive. Authorities sometimes distrusted these spaces, not merely because of the drink, but because alert people exchanging ideas can be politically inconvenient. By the 17th century, coffee houses were spreading through European cities. Merchants met customers. Newspapers circulated. Rumors traveled. Deals were made. The coffee house became part office, part newsroom, part social network, centuries before the screen. But the story of coffee is not only a story of clever conversation. European empires want to control the crop. Coffee cultivation spread through colonial systems built on seized land, coerced labor, and, in many places, slavery. The drink associated with enlightened debate was also carried by violent supply chains. That contradiction still matters. The cup on the table looked refined. The system behind it often was not. Coffee accelerated thought in one room, while exploitation accelerated production somewhere far away. Modern convenience has always had a talent for hiding distance. Then the Industrial Revolution tightened the clock's grip. Factories demanded synchronized bodies. Trains required precise schedules. Offices rewarded sustained attention. Artificial light pushed activity deeper into the night. Coffee was not the engine of industrialization. Coal, capital, machines, empire, and labor mattered far more. But coffee became a kind of social lubricant for the engine. It helped people feel alert on someone else's schedule. And this is where an ancient plant formed a remarkably modern partnership. The clock told the body when to work, and caffeine helped the body comply. The coffee break may sound like a pause from productivity, yet it also restores the worker to productivity. Rest, packaged just long enough to continue. Inside the brain, a chemical messenger called adenosine builds during waking hours and contributes to the pressure to sleep. Caffeine resembles adenosine closely enough to occupy many of its receptors without delivering the same sleepy signal. Think of adenosine as a tired passenger approaching a seat. Caffeine gets there first and sits down. The passenger has not disappeared. The seat is simply occupied. That is why coffee can make fatigue feel more distant without replacing sleep itself. The effect varies. Genetics, tolerance, medication, pregnancy, dose, timing, and individual sensitivity all matter. For some people, coffee feels like focus. For others, it can mean restlessness, anxiety, a racing heart, or a night of staring at the ceiling. Regular use can also produce dependence. Stop suddenly, and headaches, fatigue, or irritability may follow. This does not make every coffee drinker an addict in the dramatic sense. It means the brain adapts. The ritual is cultural. The effect is chemical. Both are real. Today, caffeine, it appears in tea, soda. It appears in tea, soda, chocolate, energy drinks, gels, pills, and products designed for effect. We stay up because there's more work, more entertainment, more news, and one more screen to check. Then we use caffeine to function after sleeping less. Then the caffeine can make the next night's sleep harder, especially when consumed late, and the cycle begins again. The world accelerates. We accelerate with it, and the cup in our hand can feel less like a choice than the admission price. There is no villain here. Coffee can be pleasurable, social, and, for many adults, part of a healthy life. The danger is not the existence of the cup. It is forgetting what the cup cannot do. It can mask the message of fatigue for a while. It cannot negotiate with every biological debt forever. Perhaps it is coffee's true place in history. It was never merely a beverage, and never the secret inventor of progress. It was an accomplice. It helped monks stay awake, merchants keep talking, intellectuals keep arguing, workers meet the clock, and modern minds extend the day beyond the body's first request to stop. Coffee did not accelerate the world alone. But as the world demanded more waking hours, coffee offered a seductive answer. Not more time, but the feeling that we could keep going. So tomorrow morning, when the machine hisses and the first drop falls, remember what is inside that ordinary cup. A plant from an ancient landscape, a history of devotion and debate, a legacy of trade and exploitation, a molecule that quietly bargains with sleep. The modern world runs on electricity, oil, data, and ambition. But somewhere behind the keyboard, beside the steering wheel, and under the fluorescent light, there's often a cup of coffee, helping a human body keep pace with the machine. If you enjoy discovering the hidden forces behind ordinary life, subscribe to Factor.